right, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. You do need to mute that shit. What is going on, everybody? We are back. As always, my name is Drew, and with me is Mr. Newman. John, it feels like forever, but man, it's good to be back, buddy.
Yeah, boy, and we had a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of people making going to be changing their address at the post office. The first thing I want to say, and I know you echo this, is everyone out there. I hope everyone's safe and well, continues to be so. And you know, for an hour or so tonight, we'll hopefully take your mind off quarantine and social distancing.
Yeah,
you can social distance with us.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be your social distancing for you. So, John, you know, it's been a crazy time, like we said. Like today, guys, obviously, as the show says, it's our free agent frenzy. We're going to be focusing on, you know, free agents in the hobby, the crazy amount of moves that have happened in the last couple of days. It's been mind blowing. But first, John, before we start the show, I have some sad news that I have to address immediately. And what's up, Nick Gable? Yeah, John. He's a Steelers fan. Whatever, Nick. Yeah, you just be happy that the producer put it on the damn screen. But anyway, I have some very somber news that I would like to say. Is after this week's episode, as many of you have heard, ESPN has decided to let go of my co-host and the legend himself, Mr. Booger McFarland. So, Boogs, you've really helped us out the last couple of weeks. You've given me invaluable information that I don't think I could have. I don't think the show would be what it is without you. And you've been greatly appreciated here. Now, at least, you won't be in about 400 people's way anymore on Monday Night Football. But Boog is retiring after this episode, so I would like to say a goodbye to Mr. Booger. And you've been a wonderful co-host, and we wish you well in your future endeavors.
Yeah, maybe he'll pop up in the XFL. Who knows?
He might pop up every now and then. You never know.
Yeah.
But John, enough fucking around. This is a show that we've got a lot to deal with, and there's a lot of serious shit going on in the world, but there's also a lot of serious shit going on in football, and we're gonna focus on football. We're gonna get away from this sad stuff that's going on, and we're gonna focus on some football. So, John, this is our free agent frenzy. So I'm gonna let you start us off here, and I'm gonna let you pick the free agent to start off with, and I'm gonna bet the house that I know where we're gonna start, but surprise me here.
Well, neither one of us really got this right, although I will say you did mention them. You didn't really predict them, but you mentioned them. Yeah. You went with the Raiders. I went with the Chargers. And
I said Tampa was a contender.
Yeah.
Tampa was a contender.
And so obviously everyone knows we're talking about Tom Brady. I'm going to be honest with you. This one really caught me off guard. I really didn't think. Yeah, I didn't think. I mean, I know they got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Their defense is not good. I thought the Chargers, to me, were even just, when I'm looking at it, I figured he wanted to go to a team that maybe has a chance to win once they add him. I thought the Chargers fit that bill more than the Buccaneers. But, then I thought about it. Part of me wonders, did he want to go to the NFC and just kind of get away from the Patriots and completely? even though they do play each other, these two teams, the Bucks and Pat.
Okay,
Did he
you know
just
what you just said. What you just said, dead on. A couple things dead on. He did not want to stay in the AFC, I don't think at all. The NFC is a far easier route for him right now. He didn't want to have to go through Lamar Jackson, Patty Mahomes, those type of teams. He didn't want to have to go. The Patriots, I'm assuming, are going to still be decent. He didn't want to have to go through all of that. Instead, he gets to go through the NFC, where if you look at what we talk about later, if you look at this damn list, every single team doesn't know what they're doing with a quarterback. I mean, it's all changing. The NFC is going to be completely different. And so why not go to a team like Tampa? Like I said, when I mentioned them, I ended up, like you said, going with the Chargers, but my argument for them didn't change. It's they've got the weapons. They've got wide receivers he's never had as a combination. He's had Randy Moss, so he's had better wide receivers. But as a combo, I would argue he's got two of the best in their prime at that time in their career than he's ever had. He's got a very good tight end. He's got a decent running game. He's got a defense that has a lot of work to do. But let's face it, this is one move that really, when you look at all the guaranteed money and everything, is not a tough hit on their cap. They had plenty of it. So it's not killing their cap. It's not hurting them one bit. I think this was a brilliant move by Tom Brady. And if we had done a show the week before, I would have had Tampa as my top team, because I thought going into it, and I put it on Facebook, that it really looked like if he left, that it would be Tampa. Now it's Tom Brady, so you can't really imagine him going anywhere else. And in the back of my mind, I always thought he'd probably stay with New England. But if he left, I was really starting to lean much more toward the Bucks. But real quick, guys, before Newman goes on, the question of the day that we want for you guys, and please call in the show. You know how this works. We want you to call in. Otherwise, come on. That's what the show's about. So I'm going to be posting the link here in the comments. You guys don't even have the link right now, so how could you call in? But the link is going to be posted here in the comments. Please call in, and if you have a question for us about a specific free agent signing, or let us know what you think about your team's free agent period so far, because I'll guarantee you every single team is doing something in free agency right now. So I'm going to put that link here. So please let us know, call in, let us know in the comments. But John, continue on, my man.
Yeah, I think, I guess what you said, I agree with. I think the NFC probably see it as an easier path to get back to another Super Bowl, something he's hanging his hat on in his whole career. I still think he obviously, I don't think Tampa Bay is the favorite, even with him there. But what I'm reading now, I'm sure you've heard the same thing, is now that he's signed there, there are a lot of people want to go to Tampa Bay now. Yeah. So this might be just the first shoe to drop, as they say. And so this roster is probably not done evolving yet.
And I'm so glad this is happening while my Panthers are in a rebuild.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're probably looking at realistically 1 or 2 years of Brady. Yeah. And so, and again, depending on who else they get, I mean, right now, I don't view them as I'm not even sure I know it's going to sound crazy probably to some. No. I don't know if they're a playoff team at this today. Now, if someone disagrees and they want to call in, and maybe we got a couple Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans that say, "Hey, man, this is what puts us over the top." I don't think it's the only move that's going to be able to put you over the top. You're going to need some of that. Defense is still pretty similar, so nothing's changed really on that side of the ball. So maybe you score a little more points with Brady. There's going to be obviously less interceptions after you're going from Jameis Winston to Tom Brady. But you still gave up a lot of points. So, you're going to be in shootouts. I guess Brady's maybe a better shootout guy than Winston because he turns the ball over. But you still have to improve both sides of the ball. And so, it helps. I think anyone that throws less picks then Winston was going to be a difference maker.
Yeah.
But, you're also getting Tom Brady, let's, be honest, on the backside of a great career.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with you on that end. I think, they got him for a good deal. It's a team friendly deal. He's moved on. He's in an NFC South that's going to be interesting, as we're going to be talking about the South a lot today. But he hit a team friendly deal here. Scott Hamby here says he doesn't think they can beat the Saints, which we'll get to the Saints here a little bit later, and that's a valid argument. I'd argue that there's a bunch of teams right now, if you started football today with the rosters they have now, that they couldn't beat. But, the rosters are going to take, quite a different shape as the season continues. So, Tom Brady's moved on. So I guess from there, John, the only place to go, I guess, before we move on to another big signing, one of the teams we'd have to move on would be New England, because they're the other team affected by this, obviously, is the Patriots. And so when you look at the Patriots this year, without Tom Brady now, that's all gone. That's over with. What do you think of what New England's doing, and how do you think this is going to affect them? And I'll even pose the question that you posed to me, and we'll pose it to the viewers as well. Who is New England's starting quarterback when next season starts?
So everyone's got them, is it going to be Jameis Winston, Cam Newton? Are they going to trade for somebody? Is it going to be Jarrett Stidham? They just signed Brian Hoyer. The guy must be 85 years old, but he's still in the league. They signed him today. A lot of people thinking he's going to be the starter over Stidham. So the question is, do they go out and sign a big-name starter from someone else? Do they trade for an Andy Dalton? And if you read a lot of the stuff now coming out, now that Brady's gone, Brady and Belichick were not exchanging a lot of love notes between each other.
No.
And so, I think the reason, if you read between the lines, it sounded like Kraft kind of wanted Brady to stay and Belichick was ready to move on with somebody else. And so I think, if you look at the games Brady's missed, whether it be injury or the 4-game suspension for Deflategate, whoever Belichick put in there did well, including some not so hot names, Matt Castles, and
Okay.
And
Matt, all right, no, keep going.
I'm just thinking, and I could be wrong here. That's what the beauty of the show is. Yes, I think Belichick's going to go with a lesser. I don't think he's going to make the big splash. I think whether it's Hoyer or Stidham, or maybe they trade for Dalton, but I don't think they're going super big. And I think it's to prove a point to Brady that, you're very good, but it's my system that is equal these Super Bowl rings and these wins. And I think there's a little Brady versus Belichick here. And if Belichick goes out and gets, let's say, a Cam Newton, or someone of like that, someone with a name. I'm not saying, you know Cam Newton well better than I, but someone super talented, at least on paper, then Brady could say, see, you had to go get a Cam Newton, a first-round pick, or you had to go sign, this guy who's a first-round talent to keep it going to replace me. If he goes with Stidham or Hoyer or even Andy Dalton, someone who's not in the same breath as Tom Brady, and Belichick wins, then Belichick can say to Brady, not out loud, obviously, but in a sense, listen, it's more me as a coach and my system and my staff here that wins here. Look who I've won with.
Like you said, the beauty of the show is you can be wrong. No, I'm just kidding. There's parts I agree with that, and there's parts I don't. What up, Anthony? Thanks for joining the show, bro. Okay, so you're telling me now. I fully believe Kraft wanted the lovey-dovey. I want this all to be happy forever and everyone ride off into some sunset forever. And I'm gonna go back to that massage parlor. Don't bother me for 2 hours. I think that's how he expected the next couple of years to go. But Brady and Belichick, I think, were completely different. And I think they both do want to prove it against each other. But let me run down the list real quick for you. So you're telling me that Bill Belichick is okay with going into a season with Brian Hoyer at quarterback and his one addition at wide receiver. Yes, you get Harry back, but his one addition at wide receiver is someone I know very well, Daimir Bird. That's who you're going to add to. No, hold on. That's who you're going to add to that team, and that's who you think is going to prove people wrong that you can win with Tom Brady. Now, even if he thinks Stidham is ready, is Stidham ready to go out there with no tight end whatsoever? And Gronk ain't coming back now. You can forget it. So that's washed out the window. With no tight end whatsoever, they got no, they didn't even sign a tight end yet. So no tight end whatsoever. Maybe they go after one in the draft, but then even that, it's a coin flip. I look at this roster right now, and I look at this as Bill Belichick trying to say, yeah, I can go 500 without Tom. I don't see, unless they think Jared Stidham is Deshaun Watson, Pat Mahomes type, once in a generational talent, how they can field this bullshit roster in free agency going once again all after defense. They picked up Joe Thoney. They franchise tagged him. And, but other than that, safety, special teams, defensive tackle, unless they go heavy in the draft, which are all coin flips, what the fuck are they doing? No wonder Tom wanted to leave. And so I see it more as like, they can have this competition all they want, but Jesus Christ, New England, make a fucking move if you want it to actually be a competition.
Yeah, if you read the reports, no, you're right. But if you read the reports, no one if the reports are true, Brady made his decision to go to Tampa Bay when he saw the Hopkins trade and the Stephon Diggs trade.
Okay, what's up, Brad Parvin? What's up, Robert? Thank you guys for watching. Please, guys, call in the show. Click the link, call in. Let us know what you think about your team's picks this year. We're going to be getting to most of your teams if we can. John, keep going, my friend.
And so I read that Brady finally decided where he was going to go when he saw Diggs go to Buffalo and Hopkins get traded to Arizona.
So he watched two of the dumbest trades in the world, and he thought, I might as well go to Tampa, I guess. I mean,
that's what I'm reading. And what else I'm hearing is that New England tried to get both of those guys, Hopkins and Diggs, and weren't able to pull deals off. And so I'm thinking, Kraft is probably telling Brady, hey, we're trying to get Hopkins and or Diggs. Don't make your decision yet. And then when he saw those two guys, those deals not happen with New England, I think he called Kraft and said, I love you. It's been great, but it's time for me to.
That sounds like a nice. All right, before we move on, because we're not going to spend the whole show on Tom Brady because I'd throw up. But I'm just going to say I don't buy that. That's a nice fairy tale little story for like Any Given Sunday Part 2 or something. Al Pacino can narrate it at the end.
I watched that because I'm a huge Al Pacino guy.
Yeah, so and the monologue at the end is classic. But anyways, that's a nice little fairy tale thing. This came down to, you mean to tell me that Diggs and D-Hop and Brady and them didn't talk? You know what I mean? Like if Brady had said, I'm staying, you think D-Hop and them would, because D-Hop had, I think it would have been a little different. Brady could have forced those trades to happen if he wanted to, because they got him for so cheap. New England has so much capital. They could have forced the trades and they could have given him better packages and still ended up with more than the other teams have. So while it's a nice little let's tie it up in a nice, pretty little bow and make it seem all pretty. I just don't buy it. But let's move on.
Who's the GM in New England?
Fucking who knows anymore.
It's really Belichick. So again, it kind of goes back to maybe he nixed the deals.
Maybe
said, I don't want to do them.
Quick shout out Brad Parvin, Robert Sanders, everybody for watching the show. Nicholas Gable, thank you guys so much. Please share the show, like if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and please call in, guys. We want to talk to you guys. If you got a question, if you'd like to debate something that we said, if you think we're full of shit on something we said, come call us out on it. I love that crap. So jump all in with me, and please call in and let us know what you think of your team's free agency moves. So, John, I'm going to kind of let you handle the list as we go down it. So as we go down the list now, like I said, crazy free agency going on.
This could be a 4-hour show if we wanted it.
No, it's not going to be a 4-hour show, but go on and who's next up on the big shocker for you, like some of your big shocks this week?
Man, he's not a shocker, but it's a guy we've talked about all year on the regular program during the regular season last year of how terrible he played. And how is he still the starter and what are they going to do? And so I think you know where I'm going here. Nick Foles to Chicago. And so is it the end of the Trubisky era? Is Foles guaranteed to start? Is there really going to be a battle? Is Trubisky going to get caught? Is he going to hold a clipboard? Is he going to hold off Foles? What happens here? I honestly – I don't know. I think it's a good flyer to take for Chicago. Here's how I see it. Mitch is not the answer. Is Nick Foles either? I don't know. But you got to try something. So here's they throw something. They throw spaghetti on the wall and hope something sticks kind of move, and they get Foles.
Okay. I mean, I all right. So Foles to Chicago, I like. I thought that was where Cam was going to go. I really did. Once I saw, like, I told you like through text and stuff that I talked to people that said we were making a move for a quarterback when free agency started and that Cam was going to be going one way or the other. I really thought it was actually going to be a trade and not a release. If San Diego's true to their word, it looks like Cam's going to be a release, which is 2.1 in dead money. I'm happy with it. That's fine. We'll move on. I'm happy with Teddy B, but when we're looking at this trade right here, I thought he was going to be the one that was there and not Foles. But I think this is a damn great move for Chicago. I think it's brilliant because there's weapons in Chicago. They do have weapons. Trubisky just sucks. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. He's a shitty quarterback. They've got weapons. They've got some weapons that are improving. I think they've got a defense. They've got a defense. It underperformed last year, but they can build off of it. If they stay healthy, I like Foles. If nothing else, Foles is going to make Mitch Trubisky prove if he's actually a quarterback or if he's going to be holding a clipboard his entire life. If that's what this year brings them, then, that clarity and that final answer, then, I call that a win in Chicago's book because I don't look at them as Super Bowl contenders. But we've seen what Foles can do. He can go on a run. This Bears team does remind me in small ways of the Eagles team, the way it's set up. I think he's in a great offense. Foles is great at adapting to that type of stuff. I love the move. I think it's a brilliant move. I just wish they'd taken Cam so we could have taken those draft picks.
Yeah. No, I think it's an upgrade. I don't believe in Mitch. I'm not a Bears fan, obviously, but as a football fan, I don't think I thought they reached when they drafted him. I thought they fell in love with numbers and size, and they didn't look at the whole body of work, and now they're paying the price for that decision. Yeah. And this is Matt Nagy. I think this is his year. Either he saves his job or he's going to be wearing a different hoodie on some other sideline next year. So this is a make or break year. And I think Matt Nagy said, if this is my make or break year as a head coach, I'm not going in there hitching my wagon to just Mitch Trubisky, because I might as well just resign now.
Yeah, quit. Just quit.
Yeah, so I think this is Matt Nagy trying to improve the team and save his job at the same time. And I think you nailed it. If Nick Foles plays well, they do have weapons there. Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller. Miller I really like. If Nick Foles puts up numbers, they win some games. It's gonna prove like Mitch was just a bad pick and not a great NFL quarterback. They'll know that. They can then do what they need to do with him, either not re-sign him or cut him. And then I don't think Nick Foles is going to be their long-term franchise guy anymore at this stage of his career. But he at least might serve as a bridge to whoever that next guy eventually may be. And I think that's what Matt Nagy's doing here. Again, we talk about the NFC. It's sort of wide open. Maybe the Niners are probably the best team on paper in that conference. But after that, it's really kind of the Wild Wild West. It could be a shootout, and anyone could step up and maybe knock off potentially the Niners. So I think it's a good move. You got to do something. They could have done a lot worse. Let's put it that way. And they made a move. I will see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, all right. Well, I want to move on now because there's a guy I want to talk about, John.
Sure,
John, and that's we're gonna stick in the NFC South. And Parvin, I hope you're still watching, bud, because I'm kind of doing this one for you here. But we've talked about the Bucs. My Panthers I'll discuss shortly later because we're rebuilding, so I'm gonna be sad. We'll talk about the Saints a little bit later, but I want to talk about the Falcons because it's impressive. I don't like giving the Falcons credit. You know that. I don't. But this one shocked me big time. I will tell you, I did not expect for him to be a free agent, like to be cut, and then to be able to sign. I did not see it happening. Of course, I'm talking about Todd Gurley signing with Atlanta. It looks like for a 1-year, $6 million deal with about $7.5 million from the Rams that he turned down, he received a bonus also, a $7.5 million from the Rams and $2.5 million offset. So he gets $11 million to play for Atlanta in 2020, which is quite impressive. And I like the move. But I'm confused on the move because if you're going to sign Todd Gurley, why the hell did you let Tevin Coleman leave? Like, why? Like, I love the Gurley move, but it makes no sense.
Well, I mean, as far as like for depth.
Yeah, and just for you need 2 running backs. I don't care. It's Todd Gurley.
Is Devonta Freeman still there? I mean, he's probably going to. I hear you. We had a ball with him last year. At least he's on the roster. Although I got a feeling he either gets cut or traded. They have a guy they really like though, Drew, and Ito Smith. Yeah, so I think it's going to be Ito Smith, Todd Gurley. Now they got Gurley. I guess you could say they got him cheap, so you can't fault Atlanta for trying to, getting him on a deal, if you will. I don't know what he's got left. Something ain't right with his knees. When he got cut, my son texted me. He wasn't at home at the time. He's like, Gurley got cut. What do you think about the Steelers getting him? And normally I would have been like, man, we got some running back issues too. I'd have been like, man, I'd love to have Gurley. But the realist and football guy in me said, you know what? I don't know what Gurley. Something ain't right with Gurley. And so I told my son in the text, I texted him back. I'm like, unless we get him like super cheap, I almost don't really want him. I think something ain't right. I don't know if he's going to be a 20 carry back. I heard one of the things that now this won't affect Atlanta necessarily, but he definitely was not a favorite in the Rams locker room, especially when his playing time went down, he became sort of disgruntled. Now, maybe the change of scenery gives him a little bounce in his step and a better attitude. But something tells me when you have a number one draft pick running back and you don't utilize him, it's not just because he's kind of a jerk in the locker room. I got to think there's something medically not right. Here they were in the Super Bowl in a game, and they didn't utilize him even then to win one game. So something, I think that the Gurley's best days. I know he's not old.
No.
But I think his best days are kind of in the rearview mirror, and so I don't blame Atlanta. They're taking a flyer. They got him in. They got in this move fairly cheap, where it's not a like you said, 1 year deal. If it don't work out, he looks like the same guy that he was with the Rams. They just don't re-sign him, and he goes somewhere else. I like that move of it, but I don't know. I'm not a Gurley believer anymore. I think those days the heydays are gone with him. It's crazy. We're making him sound like he's 35 years old, but he's not.
I know. All right. Well, man, we've got 2 questions here, and one of them's on a team I wanted to focus on to begin with. We'll start with one of the teams. We'll go in order. And a good friend of mine, Jacob Followell, thanks for the question, my friend, and watching the show. But he's talking about his Arizona Cardinals are having a banner offseason, and that the Rams will be last in the division. So we'll ignore the prediction of Rams being last. That could happen. But let's take a look now at the Arizona Cardinals offseason, because I'm looking at it right here, and you've got Jordan Phillips starting tackle, Devin Kennard. You sign Fitzy back. You get the transition tag on Kenyon Drake. You get Devondre Campbell at linebacker. And then you get the steal of everything, DeAndre Hopkins. You get DeAndre fucking Hopkins. Like,
when I saw that trade, man, that trade, I'm like, how does Bill O'Brien still have a job? Like, who got him drunk and then said, here, make a trade tonight while you blow into this breathalyzer? You're drunk. You're good. Let's make this trade. It's crazy. Gurley better than David Johnson. I don't know. It might be similar. Something, Arizona just didn't stop giving the ball to David Johnson. I know he got hurt, recently. Then they went out and got Drake, and they really liked him. And that was, I think, Johnson was in the doghouse. I'll be interested to see what he does in Houston. I like David Johnson, but again, is there some, we don't know all the medical stuff going on. There might be some issues. Obviously, they have to pass a physical to make the deal work. So they're physically, they passed the physical, but is there something that's changed? Their quickness, their cutting ability. They're not the same running back. David Johnson, David Johnson and Todd Gurley, new teams. They want to prove, like, hey, man, we still can play.
David Johnson can play. I think he needs to be in the right situation. I think he can play. I was just blown away that he was made straight up for, in my opinion, what is one of the top receivers, if not the top receiver in the league. And to me, you can't make this trade, because Deshaun Watson, I guarantee you, saw this trade. The very first thing he did was start to look at what teams are going to be needing quarterbacks in a year or two. He ain't staying in Houston now. No, you just took his bet. You wouldn't get better than Will Fuller. You wouldn't improve from Will fucking Fuller. So now you're going to bring in David Johnson. That's nice. That's a nice, cute little weapon for him. But is that what he needs? No. He needed Hopkins, and he needed someone to complement Hopkins that didn't oopside ginned it again and drop the ball all the time like a Ted Ginn wannabe that they've gotten Will Fuller. Like, all this trade did was ensure that Deshaun Watson walks out the door in Houston. And for Houston fans, I hate that for him, because that's not fair to them because they were building something. I thought, my deal with Houston. They fucked me last year in gambling week after week after week after week after week, like all season long. I could not pick them to save my life. They were my curse last year. But this right here is just like karma for fucking me over, I think. I don't know. But this was absurd, and I guarantee you Deshaun Watson walks out that door, and we'll look back on this week as the reason why.
Yeah, I think, like you said, this move went down. I think Deshaun got his agent right on the phone and don't even talk when it comes to renegotiating a new deal. I'm not staying here. So don't be surprised you see him wearing a Patriots uniform.
Exactly. That's a very, 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 very big possibility. So, all right, John. So, who's next up on your list of some free agents that we're going to touch on today? Because we are going to keep this at about an hour show, guys. So, who's next on your free agents?
Well, how about? We don't have to talk about it a whole lot, but how about big money for Austin Hooper to Cleveland, a tight end?
Yeah.
I love. He's a great tight end, but man, did they back up the Brinks truck for this guy?
And am I missing something? Is Joku hurt or gone? Like, did he leave?
He's still there. What I'm reading, they're going to go with 2 tight end sets.
Then what the fuck are you doing, Cleveland? Like, you need to use that money elsewhere. Like, I thought I missed something, and I'm looking at it here. You've added. Okay, they've been pretty busy this offseason. But Austin Hooper, 4 years, $44 million with $23 million guaranteed in 2 years. That's absurd. Then you put Kareem Hunt. You add in, then you're going with Case Keenum as a backup quarterback. I'm sure he'll start.
No, he went to Denver.
Okay, he backed out?
He's gone.
Okay, he backed out.
Well, hang on. I don't know. Where did he go?
This is the NFL is up to about an hour ago. But regardless, that's not what we're talking about here. They did get Jack Conklin at offensive tackle.
Yeah, I like that move.
Which helps a lot. But Austin Hooper, when you have Joku, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, are you? I don't care about the 2 tight end sets, Jacob. Dude, really? That much money? Joku's due money soon. Like, while Hooper's getting paid this contract, Joku's going to need his money.
Keenum's in Cleveland.
Yeah. So what are you going to do when Joku wants his money too? I mean, I think Joku.
Well, I think they're letting Joe. I mean, that they don't re-sign Joku. I think they just let him go.
That's absurd.
But I think while they both have him, I think they're going to go with 2 tight end sets. They got Stepnansky is the new coach there for Minnesota, offensive guy. I'm sure wonder who the coach is.
Wonder who the coach is next year.
It's going to be Rex Ryan's coming back.
Well, it'll be Rex Ryan or maybe, I don't know, an Otter or something. Who knows?
So they did some moves. They got Carl Joseph for the safety position. Cleveland spent money, but here, we're talking about them spending a lot of money on Hooper. Cleveland's got a shitload of money because no one wanted to go there for the longest time. So now they got all this money to spend, and now people do want to go there. Money talks. And so they got the Carl Joseph, Jack Conklin, I like as a move. Keenum is there. I got his old team in the mix there by accident. And now you add Hooper. I say this every year, and I'll say it again because maybe it's reverse psychology being a Steeler fan, but Cleveland kind of makes me nervous again. They got a decent team.
Well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But hey, Paul, I know Joku was hurt and he's under a rookie card contract. My point is during Hooper's contract, he's going to have to be paid. But what you were saying, John, you don't need to be worried about them.
Yeah, no, I like to say that way. It's kind of reverse psychology. The minute I don't say it, that's probably the year Cleveland makes a run. But on paper, they've made improvements. A lot of it. Let's be real. A lot's going to hinge on what kind of Baker Mayfield shows up. Is it rookie Baker Mayfield or sophomore slump Baker Mayfield? He was terrible last year.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Prove me wrong, Browns fans. I don't know. Maybe you guys can end up. Maybe I'll have to eat some crow. So, John, we'll move on now. Like,
Yep.
I mean, this list is enormous. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many people that are, and it's not just enormous of just players. It's an enormous list of fucking superstars. Like, these are guys that are Pro Bowlers, all pro, first team, second team. These are some stud players going on. Pick another one. Let's go through it. And guys, come on. We haven't had anyone call in the show yet. I'm kind of disappointed in you guys. Call in. Let us know what you think of your team's moves this week. All you literally have to do is click the link that I just posted in the thread. I can't believe no one's called in this week. I guess, we're going through a lot of stuff. Have a good one, Jacob. Thanks for watching, bud. But, guys, call in. I know, let us know what you think. But So, all right, here we go. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this because this is something I did want to talk about, and that's what we were going to go to next. Jordan asks, and this is or he brings up, and this is a great one to talk about, and that's Stephon Diggs to Buffalo. Yep. With Tom Brady leaving, you've got Tom Brady leaving the AFC East. You've got the Dolphins becoming a bottom tier XFL team. And you've got, the Jets are the Jets. Like, what do you think? What do you think of this Stephon Diggs trade to the Bills, and does it make them the favorite this year in the AFC East?
I love the move. I mean, what did I say last year? And I get to a couple Buffalo games, it seems like each year, one or two. So I see them up close. I said last year they were sort of like one big wide receiver away from being a real force, especially in that division. And I would have rather see them. I know, it's hindsight's 2020. I would have liked to see DeAndre Hopkins go there rather than Diggs. I think that would have been a better move. I don't even know if the Bills were in on that or not, but Diggs is an upgrade. You got Diggs, and they had John Brown as their number one guy. Cole Beasley is the slot guy. Now you got Diggs at one. Brown is serviceable, and Beasley, you can hate him all you want, but the guy plays well. Doesn't look like your prototypical wide receiver, but puts up numbers, productive, makes those tough catches, goes over the middle, knows he's going to get hit, and he plays hard. And so they've upgraded a position they needed to. Their defense is still stout. If Josh Allen, who has made every year, what I read about him, no one works harder in the offseason than Josh Allen when it comes to taking notes, watching film, and working out. And so each year, Josh Allen's come back. He's been better and a little bit better each year. So if he comes back here the following year and makes more strides, with now adding Diggs and that defense, this may be the year, the first time in 14 years, we don't have to say New England Patriots, AFC, East champions. I'm sort of, if that's the case, I'm looking forward to that. I think a lot of people other than Patriot fans are looking forward to seeing someone else other than
everyone in the country. Everyone in the fucking country is looking forward to it. But no, I agree with you. Diggs to Buffalo shocked me. Carolina North, that's what I call them because this is just absurd. Like, they pick up Carolina castoffs like it's going out of style. And I wish Katz was watching the show tonight, Katz, because I'm going to be praising your Bills in a minute, and I can't believe you're going to miss this. But the Diggs trade, brilliant. It's what Allen needs. Allen is a quarterback that I was high on coming out of the draft. I thought he was a guy that needed 3 or 4 years. I thought he needed the Aaron Rodgers treatment. I think him being thrown to the Wolves the way he was, Buffalo ended up being a little bit better as a team than we thought. So it wasn't as bad for him. I think it may have been a big help for him. But I'm looking at what they've added this year. You're looking at Mario Addison on the edge. You added a terrible move picking Vernon Butler from Carolina, but you add Diggs. You got Quentin Jefferson, Sean Mannion at QB for a backup, whatever. You add Josh Norman at quarterback at corner, but you only pay him $6 million. I'm not a Norman fan, but you only pay him $6 million. And with the defense they have, he doesn't have to be the number one guy. He can be his, let me take a little bit of a, let me do my normal jump a route and see if it works type of guy, and not get burned for so many touchdowns as much, because he's going to be on the side with some safety help. They're going to make sure of it. So I don't like the Norman trade too much, but Buffalo is a team, man. They need a running back. They need a little help on the offensive line. I could see one more wide receiver would be nice in the draft, someone complimentary or someone through free agency, maybe through cut down days, some additions. But from what I see so far on paper, from all these additions, looking at all the other teams on subtractions, that's what I'm saying, Andrew. He's not the number one. That's the point. Like, if he was the number one, I'd be terrified, but Trey is. So Norman can be that guy that can take those risks that he couldn't if he was the number one, because he'd be fucked like he tried to do his whole career and ruined it in Washington after he had one good year in Carolina. Like, he can at least sit back and jump those routes and be on the side that has the safety help. But I actually love what Buffalo's doing so far. And on paper, if you had to ask me right now, Buffalo wins the AFC East this year.
Yeah, I
now, this could change. This isn't my prediction. This is early in the offseason based on a week of free agency.
Yeah.
But from a week of free agency, from what I see, Buffalo, if Josh Allen improves whatsoever, the slightest 1%, they're my favorites in the AFC East.
Yeah, I think on paper they're the favorites. I think that you touch on a couple of things. I think that in this draft coming up, they're going to go O-line and maybe, like you said, pick up another receiver. They're gonna hit the weak spots and
they need running back. They need running back.
Yeah, I like Singletary. I think they need someone like Gore was last year, just sort of a veteran guy that could come in.
A complimentary back.
Yeah. And they'll probably sign someone. There's going to be, like you said, maybe someone cut. Maybe they still draft another guy and go with a young guy, go along with Devin Singletary. I like Devin Singletary. I know he's not the biggest back, but he does very well. He's not super fast, but he's got some cuts, and he had a great year last year. So I think if they could get a veteran, maybe, hey, you know who winds up there? Let's bring him back up. Maybe Devonta Freeman's a Buffalo Bill.
Oh, God, I feel bad for him. Then they wouldn't be my favorites anymore. I mean, come on.
But you know what? That's what I would do if I'm Buffalo. I'd bring a guy like that in. Yeah. Listen, Singletary's our guy. You're going to get the ball 5 to 7 times a game, maybe more, depending on what's going on in the flow of the game. But we're not signing you as a feature back. This is your role. And if you're good with it, like Frank Gore was last year, here you are, and so maybe you see a guy like Freeman kind of come in and be with Singletary as that kind of veteran presence, if you will.
Absolutely. All right. Well, John, we got time for looks like maybe 2 more this week, and then we'll hammer some more home next week as you know, it looks like today's a pretty slow evening. I understand lots of people spending times with their families, lots of stuff going on right now. So we'll handle 2 more. We'll talk about 2 more people this week, and then we'll hit next week. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more news for us to talk about. But there's one I want to talk about, and I don't want to save it for last. And I got to talk about my Panthers and the signing of Teddy Bridgewater. So signing Teddy, Matt Rule, you got a new coach, you got new OC, and now you got Teddy Bridgewater. I'm going to revert and let you take the floor to start here. But when you saw the news that Teddy Bridgewater was headed to Carolina, what do you think?
two things struck me right out the gate. Number one, I really didn't see that coming, so that one was surprising. And he signed quick. Like that was one of the first official sort of moves once free agency really got underway. That was one of the early ones. So that they didn't waste no time, neither party, Bridgewater and the Panthers. So I'm sure there must have been some discussion prior to that. I think Bridgewater, I think he's very good. I like the move. I just that better than I. They got some other things to do, but man, I think they bettered themselves. I think he's obviously better than anyone they've had on the roster right now. I know there's some people that probably say, "Come on, is he better than Cam Newton?" I mean, today he probably is.
That's not the point. But that's not the total point of what this move was. But keep going.
So I think they got a bona fide starter. He's a guy who comes to work with his lunchbox every day. He doesn't throw picks. He's known as a kid that doesn't make mistakes, which is what I think they need at quarterback. He's got some weapons there. You know what I think about DJ Moore, so I've ranted about him positively a lot. I think so. I think they're moving in the right direction. You got a new coach. I think they're just, like you said, they're rebuilding, but maybe, their rebuild might be quicker than you think. I'm sure you're hoping that's, the case. And they went big with a quarterback. I know someone say, well, John, he only started a few games, but I don't think anyone can argue when you've seen him play. He's a difference maker at the position, and he's athletic. He can run a little. He can throw. He don't make mistakes, and that's what they need him to do.
All right, so it's my turn now.
Yes, you're up.
Whew, okay. All right, Paul. First of all, no identity. Yes, we do. We do have an identity. It's CMC, and it's a team in transition. Cam Newton wasn't necessarily the identity of the Panthers for a long time. Luke Kuechly was. Luke Kuechly was the identity of the Panthers to the Panther fan base, not to America, but who gives a fuck about the rest of the country? This is about the fans of that team. They have an identity. But what I'm not, Paul, I'm sad Cam's leaving too. It sucks. But Teddy B, I love this pickup. For a couple of reasons. One, what this proves out of everything, because Scott, you said my question is how can Carolina let Cam go without getting anything for him? This is why. Because this proves that Rule and Tepper and the organization did not have faith in Cam. He wasn't their guy. They didn't draft him. He wasn't their guy. He did not fit where they were going. Teddy Bridgewater is not the quarterback of the next 10 years for the Panthers, even though we gave him a pretty lucrative deal. He is not going to be, unless I'd love if I'm wrong, he could turn into be incredible in this system. The system fits him well. It's a system he knows. It's based off of the system he played in college. It's an extension of it, so he knows it. But I don't know if he's necessarily just like a bridge gap, sort of, so to speak, Bridgewater, bridge gap. But I don't know if that's what he's going to be or if he's going to be, a full-time starter for a long time. But I love the move because what it does is, it tells Will Grier, who what I think about Will Grier, it says to Will Grier, look, you got one more chance, kid. Like, you've had time to learn. Now's your shot. We got rid of superstar diva man. Now's your shot to take the job. If he can't do it, well, then you know what Will Grier is. Same with Kyle Allen. So it lets us see where we're at with our quarterback position. Let's face it, we're not going to make the playoffs this year unless Teddy B's brilliant. This is a one-year stopgap, I think. And I think that if anything, it's going to show us where we're at in a lot of other areas. I hope we focus on a couple different areas this offseason. Let us shore up a couple of different spots that we need a lot more help in. I like the move so far. I think it was a very smart move. Obviously, we're in a big rebuild. We'll probably end up in last place in the division. It's going to be how it's going to be because look what's jumped in. I mean, this division is stacked. You've got Breeze, you've got Matt Ryan and his team, you've got freaking Tom Brady. I mean, chances are we're probably going to struggle for a year, and that's fine. We've run the South for long enough. We can let other people take it for a while. But I like the Teddy Bridgewater trade right now as a transition from Cam because you had to move on. You had to move on now, or it was going to be 4 or 5 more years before you moved on from Cam. And what does that do? What does that do? It puts you into limbo, and we have to deal with this same. Do the Panther fans and fans of the NFL want to hear about this for 4 to 5 more years? No. So, I mean, I love the move. And Scott, to answer your question before I'm done, how can you let him go without getting anything? Releasing him, you get plenty. You get a roster spot. You get the headache going. You get the PR nightmare going. You get a compensatory pick next year that's a 3rd-round pick at the worst. You get something for Cam releasing him. It's just not right away. But anyway, John, so there's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think you brought up a point. I think Cam, when Cam was still there, and there was 2 things coming out about the injury, how hurt he was or wasn't. It was no one real. I mean, maybe you knew more than some being there and being a fan, but it was like, how bad is this? What is the deal?
You remember I said on the show, I said that when we were talking about those reports of him coming back, if he's coming back, I said he's planting the seeds right now. The team and him are both planting little seeds for their eventual divorce this offseason. I said it on the show, and it's what was happening. It's clockwork.
And so what this move does is you got your guy in Bridgewater. There's no real debate who the starter is. The cloud is kind of lifted. It's kind of away from the stadium. It was always sort of like a cloud above the team in the stadium, like what's going on with Cam. I've never seen so much talk about a guy who wasn't even playing, and now that's gone. And now they can kind of move on and just focus on guys that are on the roster that are going to make, be on the field in uniform, hopefully for your sake, ready to be productive. And I'm sure the team got tired of talking about Cam. Cam probably got tired of talking about what's going on. It's I think, like you said, it was a divorce that needed to happen for both. He can, wherever he winds up going, he can turn the page, start anew, and the Panthers can start anew without sort of that Cam talk and what's going on, what's the future, what, do you love him, do you not love him, what do you want to do with him? They can stop talking about that. Talk about the guys that are going to play and going to be there. I think it's, be interesting to see where he goes now. But I think for Carolina, I'm sure they're happy to just kind of turn the page. And, they got a new coach, a new quarterback. They got weapons there with CMC and DJ Moore. That's not like the cupboard's completely bare. And so, I think they're just ready to talk about guys that can make a difference rather than talk about guys that you don't know what's going on necessarily with.
Yep. Well, I could not agree with you more. Well, John, I guess we'll wrap it there. We'll call this part 1 of our free agent frenzy, and next week, guys, something very, very special. I want to do something. These are times where everyone's stuck inside the house. We talked about how we wish you and your loved ones, nothing but the best and your health and your safety. Those of you that have to be out in all of this, especially my brother, a truck driver, people like that, just it's a trying time. We wish you guys nothing but the best, but we try and bring a little bit of a reprieve from all of this bullshit that's going on in the world, because it's unlike anything we've ever seen. And we hope this show today was able to give you guys at least an hour of a little bit of a break. But next week, we're going to be back talking a little bit more free agency. We're going to do our top 5 free agent moves of the year, and we're going to tie that in with a little special something, as we're going to be giving away something live on next week's show. It's going to be a surprise. So stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next week. Mr. Newman, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, just like you said, and like we started off the show with, everyone out there, be safe, stay healthy. Hopefully, we get through this sooner than later. Hopefully, sports gets footballs. Then really, maybe the next sport we might see get back on the field. Who knows anymore? But I'm excited. I'm going to assume football is going to start on time, so I'm getting in that mode and I'm geared up. And I'm sure we talked about all these moves today. I'm sure they're not done. There's many more moves.
No. We'll have plenty to talk about next week as well. And once again, before we do go, Booger, it was a pleasure. You guys stay tuned. And
bye,
I hope
Bugs.
you guys. Bugs, I've appreciated you being my co-host, but if you're not good enough for ESPN, you sure as shit aren't good enough for Roughing the Passer, because we are a lot better than ESPN's horse shit for all of that. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the show. As always, next week, for God's sakes, call in. Let's have some social distancing. Doesn't mean, we can't talk. Like we ain't gonna, we're in our own bubbles. We can talk. So call in. We're going to make sure we get you guys to call in, because you're going to want to win some cool shit anyway. But for Mr. Newman, I'm DH. We'll talk to you next week, y'all. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we love you. Peace.